We're back, people, and today we're breaking a film on Jack Driscoll, Miami Dolphins guard. And in my opinion, I think he should start at right guard with what the Dolphins currently have in the room. And, I think the main reason for that being is he's just a better scheme fit than Robert Jones, Liam Eichenberg, just due to that athleticism, his movement skills. I think you'll see that right away in the running game. And then, we'll look at the 2021 film today, where his last time where he really got to play right guard, and I thought he looked pretty good in that area. That's definitely the best he ever looked. But then we'll have some clips from the last two seasons where he mainly played as like a swing tackle. And, I think a lot of like the problems I saw with him at tackle can be masked with him moving to guard. So I think that will help out his game drastically, especially within the Dolphins system. It makes it easier with some of the stuff that he will struggle with. But I definitely feel comfortable with him playing in that area. And I think, one of the reasons he might not start at right guard, just thinking about it, is because he has a very similar skill set to Isaiah Wynn. And I think the Dolphins could see Isaiah Wynn as that guy, they're going to slide the protection away from, leave him one-on-one, win in his pass protection stuff, and then they'll have more of like a road grader type at right guard, which Robert Jones is more of a road grader. Even Eichenberg's more of a road grader than Driscoll at guard. So, but in my opinion, I would rather have the athleticism, someone who fits within that system. He has his problems, I think, in pass protection, specifically at tackle when it comes to speed to power. I think, that momentum really catches him off guard. And, as you'll see, I think he struggles with his landmarks, too. So, playing in less space at guard will help him out. And then, not guys building up so much momentum to push him into the pocket will definitely help him out, too, especially with the Dolphins scheme. So, overall, I feel like he can do a pretty good job. It can maximize his skill set with that athletic skills. And as you see at right guard here, him going forward, I feel like more comfortable in the pass protection or just being a little more aggressive with his sets. And this is something you're going to do in Miami because they're doing play action here. He just gets engaged right away with his guy and he'll hold on to that, square him up. I think, more comfortable, less space he has to work with, even though he's a great athlete. He can cover a lot of ground, but I think once he gets to that spot, he gets a little uncomfortable when the guys start giving him a bunch of little moves and all that space to work with. But this is something you'll definitely see from him within Miami, that, more jump setting, getting into the guy early, and then just staying in control. Because I think, once he is in a good spot, his technique's pretty solid with his knee bend, wide base, good hands, not giving up as much as a push. He's going against bigger guys on the interior, so they'll create a push from time to time. But I think without that speed and that momentum, that's where I think he really, gives up a lot of that push on the outside. And then he's just a great mover, explosive off the ball. He'll cut people off instantly. You can see him move, just get his head across this guy with that inside shade pretty much instantly. They didn't run a ton of outside zone in Philadelphia, pretty much throughout his career. So, I think, having more outside zone will actually help him in the running game. But you can see the athleticism on the poles and stuff. He's such a natural mover. Even with, the karaoke type footwork, he's just out of that stance really well. Takes good angles when he's moving out in space in the running game, which is nice too. He's not a type of guy that's just going to go straight up and base block people and move a bunch of guys. This is probably the best example of him creating movement, but it's on combos and stuff. So he can work some combos on the interior, but he's not going to straight up move and, absolutely dominate people. I think he's very similar to Isaiah Wynn. That's why I'm saying, I think worst case scenario for Driscoll is he doesn't win the starting right guard spot because they want something different. And then he actually backs up Isaiah Wynn because he's played all across the line throughout his career. And I actually think, with Wynn's injury history, Driscoll wouldn't be a bad shout to replace him at left guard because he has the most similar skill set to him. That's why I kind of, see them as pretty similar, and I would actually start both of them helping out, I think, with your athleticism in the running game and just in pass protection. They both have, I think, the highest ceilings in those areas, especially on the interior, because they both struggle at pass protection at tackles in the career, but I think being on the interior just helps them out. Great job, I think, by Driscoll, especially when they are, sliding in the protection towards him. He can get engaged with the D-tackle early, doesn't have all that momentum. He doesn't have the moves to set these things up because that's where he really struggled later on in the past two seasons as a swing tackle. And he could be a swing tackle potentially in the future. This is a really nice rep, seeing him just use his hands. I love the nuance here to reset that right hand underneath, get it into that armpit of him to create that movement. You're trying to attack the low hip. Guy's already moving, where you want him to because you're down blocking. They're pulling across here. Get your self into the perfect position, hips across, create all that movement, and there's just a big lane for your running back to hit through. To me, feel pretty comfortable with him at right guard. I feel like you have pretty not like great options at right guard across the board. That's why I think he has a good chance of starting. But you have, I think, better options than last year because even though Liam had to play a bunch last year, he's better at right guard than I think anywhere else. So that's even just a better option for him personally. I think having a healthy Robert Jones, he's better at right guard than left guard too. Same with Driscoll, and then hopefully Isaiah Wynn can stay healthy. But yeah, Driscoll pretty good at recognizing these stunts too, passing these things off, staying square, staying patient. Very good athlete. You can see the athleticism pretty much every time you pop on the film. That thing, it pops out right away. He's not the most powerful player, but this is why I feel better about him within the system because he's way more athletic than the other, two right guards he would be fighting for. He's like on that same sort of par with Isaiah Wynn with athleticism, and they're both very, very good in those areas. And he kind of just, understands, I think, in the running game, especially on the interior, like, hey, if guys are going to move to exactly where you want them to, you're just going to move them to that spot. You don't need to constantly create all this displacement, move guys 5 yards down the field. A lot of things are about leverage and positioning. This guy's already trying to cross your face. It's exactly where you want him. So just get your right arm underneath. Use that, get low, attack that low hip, and just keep, riding him with that momentum out of the way. Use the defensive lineman's momentum to your advantage. Constantly just great job on these pulling stuff. He's not going to be like pulling a ton, but I think the pulling stuff definitely gives a good look. Like you will pull in Miami system, but it's just not as often as this. But I think seeing him pull like this out in space gives you a good example of what he could be possibly doing on the outside zone game or on those tosses where it's more like a pin pull instead of, outside zone blocking up front. This is probably the best I saw him when he's just straight up one-on-one. Like they're running some counter stuff here. He gets a little help from the tackle, but he gets one-on-one pretty quickly, and he does a great job driving this defensive tackle out of the way. So seeing some examples of that is nice. But that's all the 2021 film right there. Here he's at left tackle. Most of the time he played right tackle, but played some left tackle back in 2022 with some injuries. So he has that sort of versatility to his game. You can see, boom, change of direction, move out in space, hit a safety. Pretty impressive movement skills, man. Like, he's a mover. So seeing this stuff in the screen game, Dolphins like to run those screens, those reverses where you get these guards, tackles, centers out in space a ton. So that's definitely nice to see. Okay, so here at tackle against the Jets, right tackle right here, I think sometimes you can see like the struggles within his sets start to appear in these plays, even though this is a positive rep. Because sometimes he explodes out of his stance, and then I think with his footwork, like he just kind of like stops his feet and doesn't continue to gain depth. Like I think in that Buffalo game, sometimes he overset. This game he was like not getting as much depth to the outside. That caused him struggles. But here it was good because they ended up working some stunt games, so he finds 57 immediately and gets in a good spot. You can see sort of that appear, and that was showing up throughout the film. Here, I think when now this one, better relationship to the edge defender. This is a better rep here. And when the guy's not trying to work speed to power, he's trying to win to that outside half. If he's in a good spot, like he'll win these reps. Good power with that outside hand to stop that one. Much cleaner rep. You can see that he has the athleticism to play out in space. It's just not he's always feeling comfortable with it. And really would struggle with that speed to power sometimes. And also just giving people free pass. Because here, he gets out of that stance and then just stops instantly. Really doesn't want to allow him to the inside. This guy gives him a little bit of a move. Boom. Driscoll just opens up his hips for him because he thought he was going to work to the inside, so he just fools himself. And that's another area where, I think he would struggle at tackle, and he loses that rep. Hurts him to escaping the pocket, but those are the kind of things he struggles with. Giving up too much space. He made some adjustments and did a better job. Like, he gains more depth here. He's in a better spot to where, if the guy wants to work to the inside, he can still get there outside. He's not giving up that outside path as easy, and he just rides with the edge. But these are just some of the reps to really see him more in pass protection, I think, at tackle. But I think even at guard, he'll just be so much better in those areas. Definitely feel a lot more comfortable with him at guard and pass protection. I feel like I've seen it a lot of times where like a really good athlete at tackle who sometimes just struggles in pass protection at tackle ends up like, I think Isaiah Wynn's that perfect example. Like Isaiah Wynn was so good in pass protection last year, but when he played tackle in New England, he had his struggles for sure in those areas. So just like limiting the space, limiting like players' momentum, I think, helps those guys out a lot. And like Driscoll, Wynn, even though they're not, powerful mover run blockers, they're in the system where they don't need to be. It's all about angles and cutting people off, getting to the correct spot, your leverage. You don't need to be able to just bullying everyone in front of you every single time. Obviously that helps, and I would like to see that too. and they'll do it from time to time, but it's not part of their game. It's not necessarily part of the offensive scheme either. So just, having guys who can work in that system, I think, will potentially help out the O-line more. And then, if he doesn't, I think at worst case scenario, he can at least be the backup left guard to Isaiah Wynn, probably eventually, missing some time because he's never really played a full season. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.